Welcome to the first episode of our podcast. My name is Michaela, and this is my co-host and / mother,
Rebecca.
I've been interested in all things paranormal for as long as I can remember. And I became a paranormal investigator several years ago. The video portion of this podcast will be listed on my ghost hunting YouTube channel, Paranormal. Just as starter for the beginning of this episode, it is somewhat true crime based, but not quite true crime in itself. It's about missing people in Appalachia, but I won't be getting into the crime aspect as much as the possible paranormal causes of the missing people. With that being said, let's get started. So the Appalachian mountain range is one of the oldest mountain ranges in the world, over 480 million years old. And it runs from parts of Canada all the way down south into Alabama in the United States. And it's no secret that hikers go missing a lot in the Appalachian Mountains. Not just on the trails, but in the woods, at campsites, from their homes, just in general. And the weather can cause problems, or you're just getting, people can just get lost. If you step right off the trail, or what have you, you can get lost or confused. And then there are cases like the 22-month-old little boy named Kenneth Howard, who went missing back in 2019 in Magoffin County, Kentucky, who was found 3 days later on a steep 50-foot cliff near a strip mine. He was only dehydrated. That little boy was missing in the winter for 3 days.
And they found him with nothing but a diaper on, I believe.
I'm not sure, I didn't read that. But I remember when it happened. Everybody thought it was strange. They searched over a mile area to find this little boy, and he was only 1,755 feet from his house.
Thank God that baby was alive, though.
The only reason they found him is because they heard him crying.
Well, I imagine he probably was about to where he couldn't cry anymore. Can you imagine?
That would be scary. As an adult, let alone a 22-month-old little child.
Being lost out in the wilderness like that for 3 days.
They searched using drones and thermal cameras, dogs and helicopters for 3 days. And then they heard him whimpering and found him. I mean, something about that just doesn't sit right with me. It was definitely something. I don't know what.
I'm going to go with alien abduction right off
with that one it could be.
I always think about that, and it's not in the Appalachians, but I followed the Dior Coons Club. How do you say it? Dior. A little boy that went missing out in the western part of the country. Dior Kuntz, I want to say. And they were out at a desert. There was like no woods, no forest, nothing like that. And this little boy just vanished. But that didn't happen in the Appalachians. But it's wild. And they never have found him. And it's been like 6 years. I just think something paranormal had to have happened.
Well, that's like there was a man that went missing somewhere up around the Great Lakes or something. He went missing somewhere, and he wound up like 6 months later in the middle of winter or something, woke up in the middle of a field somewhere.
Yeah.
And he'd been missing for months. He couldn't remember what happened or anything.
That right there, that has to be. I don't know if that's what's going on in the Appalachian Mountains, but I mean, it could be a possibility, I guess.
I really feel like something, because he was only dehydrated. He hadn't had food in 3 days. Not that he'd be malnourished in that amount of time, but you would think something would have happened because of it. He shouldn't have been strong enough really to be walking around, I guess, after 3 days of no food.
Right.
And he wasn't hurt or anything. He just didn't have any water. It just blows my mind. It really does. He wasn't frostbitten. He didn't have any problem like that. And I'm pretty sure this happened in the middle of the winter.
I don't remember. I remember when it happened, and everybody talking about it. And I don't even know where that part of Kentucky is.
It's
But
in the eastern part.
but that little boy, it's just amazing that he lived through that. It had to be something. I mean, why didn't the wild animals attack
Exactly,
him?
is what I'm saying.
He couldn't have been out there for 3 days like that. But there was another case of like this happened 60-some years ago, and I watched this documentary of the man that it happened to that went missing like that. And this might have been in the Appalachians. I can't remember. I'd have to research it. But he went missing as a 3-year-old, and they found him, I want to say 24 hours later, like so many miles from his home. And they lived on a farm out in the middle of nowhere. He had nothing wrong with him, nothing. But how did a baby make it? It was a crazy amount of miles that he.
Probably even an adult
they
couldn't
found
make
him
it that
right
far.
in that
and
length of
amount
time.
Period, yeah,
It
period
was
of time.
wild. It was just, it wasn't right. Something wasn't natural about it.
And then there are also many cases of those who went missing and never came home. In the Great Smoky Mountains, there was a young boy around the age of 7 who went missing in 1969. His name was Dennis Lloyd Martin. His case is one of the oldest missing persons cases in East Tennessee. On June 14, 1969, he went missing while playing hide and seek in Spence Field near the Appalachian Trail. Thousands of volunteers, park rangers, and trackers searched for Dennis over 50 square miles, but he was never found. And his dog went missing with him.
No trace of him, not to this day.
Not a trace, not nothing. They couldn't find this little boy anywhere. I think paranormal. Because, I mean, how does somebody that young, they were out?
When they're found alive, especially, that makes me think something paranormal had to be.
I mean, the only
part of it.
Explanation for that would be somebody kidnapping him. But still, you think they would have eventually found something that showed that took place.
Right, some kind of evidence.
I mean,
of that
he just
happening. Like they
vanished.
They thought maybe animals got the Dior little boy that was talking about, and there would have been some trace of clothes or something, if a wild animal had grabbed him up like that, and his grandpa just turned his back on him for a split second. And he was gone.
Well, that's kind of
in the desert. There were no mountains.
That's kind of like what happened right here.
A lot of private eye detectives and local cops and stuff they think that maybe he was never even there. And I don't think that's what it is at all.
Well, that's like, apparently with this, they were out camping for Father's Day when he was with his dad. They were all together. He was literally playing hide and seek right outside of their tent. I believe they were camping. It said, just a second, his dad was in the tent and come out and he was gone. Not a trace, didn't hear anything, didn't see anything. I mean, how does that happen? You'd think if he'd been kidnapped or something, he'd have heard him,
right.
Something
Scream
happened.
or something.
It's just crazy to think about. And
My mind wants to go more for alien abduction.
Well, I mean, it could be. But
what other paranormal reasons could?
Well, I also think that about that theory about people slipping into other dimensions.
Yeah. And
I've
they can't find
heard
their
stories
way back.
about that. That would be terrifying.
It would be
child. It would be terrifying as an adult.
As
for
a child,
like
you
that
would forget
happen.
it eventually.
Eventually, if you were young enough. But I just feel like maybe that could have happened. Because I've heard stories of that.
It's possible. Or maybe, if they never... why not? Because not even a trace left behind. Nothing. And also, I know I keep going back to that, but me and my husband followed that case for years. And we still check for updates about that Dior little boy. And him and his wife have since divorced. I guess it tore them apart, but if they were even married, I don't know. But they're not together anymore. And I think one of them would have turned on the other if they were hiding something like, they had a theory that the little boy died and then they went to the camp, that he was never there, and that was that they had, foul play and they had hid it or something. They had all kinds of theories, but nobody was ever charged with anything, so none of it could have held to any truth. I don't think they had a thing to do with it. I don't know what happened. It was crazy. Are there any other paranormal ways you think that maybe?
I don't know.
Thinking. I mean, we're talking about it, so that'd be
I don't know, unless Bigfoot took them.
Bigfoot wouldn't have been out there in the desert. They would have, you know. I don't want to say it was. It was like a desert, though. It was. I mean, there wasn't mountains and trees in 100 different ways to get, you know, or lakes you could fall in and drown. There was a stream, but I mean, there would have been some sign, evidence that happened, you know. It just wasn't the case that he wandered off. There's more to it. But wow, wouldn't it? It would be kind of cool to slip into an alternate reality too.
You think that until it happens.
It would be wild, like time travel.
That would be cool, but like not to just happen out of nowhere.
Right. Like in that movie where he's always jumping around.
Oh, that would suck.
That the time traveler's wife.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be. Yeah, that would suck. But
that would suck.
That was a killer movie. And this, the next one that we're going to talk about, me and my husband followed this one too.
Well, there's another one before that one, but
we could go ahead and talk about
Summer
Wells and go back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On June 15th, 2021, 5-year-old Summer Wells went missing from her own home in Rogersville, Tennessee. She was helping her mother and grandmother plant flowers right before she went missing. Her mother went back to the house walked her back to the house to wash her hands. Her mother asked Summer's brother to keep an eye on her while she helped her mother, their grandmother, with her knee brace. Supposedly, she went to the basement to play with her toys. When her mother went to look for her, she was gone. She hasn't been seen since. This area was searched on foot and by helicopter. The mountainous area made it difficult. In just 6 days, approximately 2,400 acres of land was searched. This little girl went missing from the basement of her house. And nobody knows where she's at to this day. Not a trace of her was found.
Nothing. And there's so many theories again on what happened to that little girl. But I don't think any of them hold true. Her family has been kind of shady, the mom and dad, but you can tell how much they loved that little girl, though. I don't think they had a thing to do with it. I think something crazy, something supernatural, paranormal. She maybe could have been kidnapped, but where they lived is so remote that there's like the chances of that would be. Yeah.
From what I read,
it would be like Caleb getting kidnapped from on top of the hurricane when Caleb lived out there.
Then you'd have to be purposefully out there searching.
Right.
For that.
There was a lot of talk about a red pickup truck in the neighborhood that day, but I don't know if they ever found that truck or found anything about who was driving it, or I don't know. But still, for I to say it was in the neighborhood, it was a good mileage from their house, you know.
Right.
So just because it was seen there doesn't mean their family owned like
they were all
so many acres
also
of land
outside too, though, and if there was a door that went outside in the basement, they would have heard or seen something.
You would think,
and you would think if they had anything to do with it, this many years later, they would have just given up.
Something would have came out, probably.
They wouldn't be talking about it. When I was researching that, I found an interview that the father had just done recently, talking about 4 years since she'd been kidnapped. You would think that he wouldn't be reaching out or doing anything 4 years later. He would just walk away and act like it never happened.
You could tell that even though he had a past and was a criminal and all that, however you want to put it, but you could tell how much he loved that little girl, or still loves her, you know. I worry that maybe she's not alive, but I don't know I just don't understand it. I don't know how she just vanished like that. The family wasn't abusing their children. I mean, their boys got took from them and they were put in foster homes. I don't know how long that lasted or if they got custody of them back. I haven't really seen anything about it. but there wasn't any sign of them being abused. I mean, I guess they just didn't like the way they were living up in the mountains, and it wasn't ideal living conditions for a child. But around here, it's not that out of the norm.
No.
You see it every day. It's not like what a lot of people would put their expectations as being, you know. And I think there was something about them maybe being on drugs, not heavy drugs. Well,
Which has not been confirmed nor denied.
right, no. Well, they have admitted
Just know that.
they did admit to smoking marijuana, but that's all they've admitted to.
Because we're not here to accuse.
No, not at all. I'm not blaming, you know. I'm just saying that
I know
might
that
have been a
the
factor.
police, yeah,
And why the
yeah.
cops thought they had something to do with it just because they had a criminal record passed. You can find that out for yourself online. So I'm not making that up. But I don't think they had anything to do with what happened. I think they were heartbroken. They're still heartbroken, and I'm sure they hope that their baby's alive out there somewhere.
Well, the way that all of these, and even this next one that we're going to talk about, it feels like nobody really played a hand in these. This next one we're going to talk about, the person that went missing might have played a hand in her own situation because she was, you know, old enough to actually leave and maybe go somewhere else, but we don't know. In the Smoky Mountains, once again, a 16-year-old girl named Teresa Gibson went missing on October 8th, 1976. She was last seen around 2:50 p.m. near Klingsman's Dome by her hiking group about a half mile from the parking lot. The initial search for Gibson continued until the 18th of October and started back in the spring of the following year. She has never been found. I do think when I was doing the research on this, there were speculations that maybe she did want to leave or disappear. I don't know. I can't remember exactly if that's what it said. But she was with the group, and then she wasn't with the group, and they could not find her. And she, like I said, has not been found to this day. That one specifically, I feel like maybe could have been that dimensional thing. Because maybe she was just walking along.
I don't know a thing about that case.
And
but
then just
that
wound up
makes
somewhere
sense.
else. Because all of these happen in the middle of the day. Which makes me think not aliens, because middle of the day.
I never thought about that. You're exactly right. They'd have to be completely invisible if that was the case.
Yeah, and I mean, they may have that kind of technology, who knows? But most of the time when you hear alien abduction stories, it happens after dark.
Yeah,
but
that's true. I didn't even think about time.
They all happen in the middle of the day. Going back to the Summer Wells case, I still just can't understand how she would just disappear from the basement of the house. Nobody see, nobody hear. Search all the land.
Her brother's there in the house. I think Dad was at work, and the mom was helping the grandma plant flowers outside, right behind. She had a camper behind their house, like right behind it.
Well, if that was the case, you would think that probably
the door, and it was so remote.
Well, what I'm saying
area.
is the door for the basement was probably back there.
Yeah.
If there was one leading outside, there might not have been.
I think it's set like this. The camper sat here, and the house sit here. This was the front of the house, and this was the back, so the camper was kind of to the side.
But did the basement, do you know if the basement of the house had a door that went outside?
Yes. It showed, you could see it in the, what
because
I'm saying is their house was here, and then Grandma's trailer was here, so she would have kind of been a corner around it, the mom was.
Yeah, but I don't know, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, if she had just wandered off on her own, they would have found her when they were out looking.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean,
but there couldn't have been anybody that just pulled up and kidnapped her because that family owned all the land. It was so remote. Like, it's not, you couldn't just, somebody the mom would have heard something.
Somebody would have heard something.
The brothers, somebody, she just vanished. And then they've not seen her since. It's horrible. I don't know. And I just wonder if she did if somebody did find her all these years later and stuff, if it would be that she had came from a different reality or whatever, and maybe remembered something of
It
it.
seems
That would
like
be cool, but it
when-
seems like they always lose their memory.
In
though.
those situations, though, it seems like once you slip into something like that, you don't ever find your way back to the other one.
Well, then what about the ones that get lost and then they get found? Or we're just talking about the ones that have never get found.
Well, the ones that get lost and then get found, I don't know if that could be slipping into an alternate reality, because a lot of times they don't remember what happened.
Right.
So maybe your memory gets wiped. I don't know, because they think, some people say that you're like trading spots with your other self or whatever, but when you go missing and nobody can find you, I really don't see how that could be
Right, yeah.
it. That you kind, I don't know. It's all a lot to think about.
Yeah, it really is.
It bends your mind, and
Anything is possible, I don't know.
it just makes me think that that's what most of these cases were. Now, that little boy, I don't know. I wonder if something found him out there and took care of him.
How old was he?
22 months old. He couldn't talk to tell you what it was.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, imagine Lily. She couldn't
Right.
tell you if something like that happened to her.
Right.
I think a creature found him. I don't know if it was a Bigfoot or what it was.
I don't know.
But something found him and took care of him for those 3 days, and then it heard the commotion or whatever and set him down.
Yeah,
It was like, here, you find him.
yeah.
He needs to go back home. I don't know. I think personally that,
That'd be, interesting. It really would.
but I think that's what happened to him, because I think he was just, I can't really remember much about that. But I remember when it happened, but I can't remember if he was, I think he might have been dirty when they found him, and I'm not exactly
I
sure.
want to say just in his diaper, but there's no way if it was wintertime that he would have survived without something helping him.
I think
Him
something
just in a
did.
diaper. That, I don't know if that's a fact, though. I should have researched more myself, but
Let me look real quick. Well, it happened apparently in May,
okay, so it makes sense he'd be in a diaper
but
out playing or
But
whatever.
this guy said, this is a quote from somebody on the search team. It said, I was froze to death and wet, and every time I would think I was cold, I would think about that baby. And then I'd just about start crying.
Oh. That's wild. Well, it still gets kind of cold at night in May.
It can be.
And when you're wet, it's especially
pretty cold.
uncomfortable.
This is from 2019. Let's see if it gives any more of an update.
Yeah, it says May.
I just wanted to say how he was found. They offered a $5,000 reward for his return.
Wow. That said 4 days later, didn't it?
There he is in just a diaper.
Yeah, I knew that's what it was. Can you imagine? It probably was getting cold at night, that poor thing. How many days? 4 days?
It was 3 days.
There
I
had to
think.
be something helping him.
I really think there was.
There had to be something that kept him
Something,
alive.
he wandered off and something found him
Yeah.
and helped him.
Yeah, when they've heard it looking for him, they've laid him down.
Yep.
Maybe even got him back to, well, they said he was dehydrated, because I was going to say maybe it tried to feed him, but also he may have not ate because he was,
Distraught.
so scared, yeah, or whatever. But something had to take care of him. There's no way
I
I
would
wouldn't
think
survive
so.
3
Me
days
either.
in a diaper in May at night. I wouldn't make 3
Not in
days.
the mountains of eastern Kentucky, that's for
No,
sure.
I would not make it.
I'd get eaten by a bobcat or something.
Coyotes would get me.
That is a fear that I have. I don't have a fear of Bigfoot. I don't have a fear of ghosts. People and mountain lions or bobcats get me, okay?
I saw a bobcat on my front porch one time when I was a teenager. I was coming in from my curfew, and I know I seen what I seen. I mean, I wasn't high or anything, I don't think. But there I pulled in the driveway, and this bobcat figure stood up on its hind legs on my front porch. And I took my butt to my grandma's house, and I
would have
called my
left
mom.
and not come back.
I called my mom and I said there was a bobcat on her front porch and I'm at Grandma Shepherd's house. And I put her on the phone, and that was that. But I don't know what I saw. I never even thought about it being nothing not natural. But I mean, there's really not that many bobcats running around here. I've never
I don't know. I've never
seen
seen
one other than
one
that one time.
in person, but
It looked like a female leopard.
when you're out in the mountains at night,
I don't know what it was.
that and people is what I worry about. I don't even worry about coyotes because I've never really.
I worry about people
experienced
for real because
them.
I've seen too many movies.
Well, that's
but
why I'm usually strapped.
Damn,
I'm not taking any chances with them crackheads.
it's scary. People are terrifying.
They are terrifying. The only thing of all these disappearances, the only thing all of these disappearances have in common is they were all young people who went missing in Appalachia and went missing in the middle of the day. Some of them were strange and all were mysterious. Hopefully one day their families will have closure and know the fate of their loved ones. That would be really what would get me with somebody going missing in general. Or me going missing. Like, I've always thought that if I get kidnapped or something, I'll tell them, if you're going to kill me, just make sure that I can be found. Because not knowing where somebody's at is so much worse. I mean, not knowing if they're alive or dead.
That would drive me crazy.
I feel like it's so much
I
worse.
don't know how you handle that. The not knowing would drive me insane. If that happened to one of my adult children, it would drive me insane. I can't imagine not knowing what happened to somebody.
No.
I understand why they get so upset if the mom dies before they find out, what happened.
Well, that's like, I'm sure the
I
parents of that 16-year-old girl who went missing back in 1976. Long dead, I'm sure. I mean...
Yeah, I'm sure too.
So they have they know now, I guess. But they didn't know when they died what happened to her. And that little boy that went missing, his parents are probably dead too. In 1969.
Yeah, and they
Dennis Martin.
died not ever knowing, probably.
Mm-hmm.
That would be awful. I'd hate that.
That would be terrible.
I bet that mom of that baby that stayed out there those 3 days in Magog County,
Magoffin
whatever you
County.
said. I bet she couldn't believe it when they found her baby alive.
I would
happy.
be shocked.
Yeah, I wouldn't know. They'd be, because my mind wouldn't want to go there. But then again, after the first 24 hours, my hope would start to go south. Because out there alone in those woods with bears and all that, yeah, I wouldn't. I'd lose my mind. Not knowing.
It would be really hard.
At least when you find out they're gone, you can grieve, and,
Mm-hmm.
you don't even know what to do when you don't know where they're at or what happened.
Right. Well, thanks for listening, and we'll be back next week, and hopefully it'll be a more lighter topic that we'll be much happier to discuss.